Mhuri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano pazimunyuzi update apo patinoda kupa mafirst hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So kana uri mutsva usabve pano usina kusubscribe, kulike nekusheya. Sekuziva kwatiri kuita mhuri yeZimbabwe kuti mubato reZANU-PF mune makakatanwa akanyanya epari zvino mana about 3 madivision wana wadivhaidha magroups matatu adivhaidha mubato reZANU-PF. Apa tiri kuona vachinamasa vari kubuda vachitaura iwo kutoti because vachinamasa vanozikana vari political survivor, vanosurvivor. Vakatanga vari kunguva yaSmith, vakazouya kunguva yaMuzoreva, vakazouya kunguva yaMugabe, nao vari kusurvivor vari munguva yaMugabe nepamusaka pekutoti pavari munguva yaMnangagwa. So tiri kuona kuti vari kutaura iwo kuda kufadza mutengi wedoro, vari kutaura kuti deal done, deal re2030 rakapera kudhara. So tira kuti munzwe makomrade tinao pano vachitsanangura nawo dzanaka vachitsanangura. Apa tiri kuona Temba Muliswa, ndofunga muri kuona zviri pascreen apa. Temba Muliswa akabuda achishoropodza vice president Kosotino Chivenga zvikuru nemavhesi avaitaura vari kwamurehwa mhuri yeZimbabwe vachitaura nenhauwa yaking Ezekaya. So tiri kuona kuti Temba Muliswa akabva achikonvheta kuzviisa mune nhauwa dzezvematongerwo enyika, akafungwa ndipresident Mnangagwa vari kutaurwa, vari kudimikirwa vachitaurwa. So Temba Muliswa sezvo tinoziva kuti akapiwa mari napresident Mnangagwa kuti anga achidefenda president Mnangagwa. So tiri kuona akabva abuda achidefenda president achitaura mashoko akasiyana siyana achimoka vice president achita kuti president vice president kuti nanga sort of like content creator sort of like kana vari kuda iwo kuopposa constitutional amendment bill number 3 vanofanira kutanga party yawo inenge ichiopposa zvinhu izvozvo, not kuopposa vari mukati mebato reZANU-PF because ndiwo wakaisa president Mnangagwa. So ngatinzwe makomrade vachitaura.
Sounded like we are also in support, because the moment you say CAB3 and then you are against, and also we are for Arutifuti CAB3, apana difference ya zvino pa kuratidza kuti iwewe zveshuwa uri against ende uri kuona kuti richatisvitsa papi pamukati muupenyu hwedu. So kutaura kwakuchimboita hatichazivi ndiambotaura nyaya yekuti iyo we need to do something. We need to start asking ourselves, what is it that we have as an option in the event yokuti the bill has been passed. Chatinacho chatinoti isusu at least. Anyway, I am fighting against, I'm being challenged by this Goliath. Aruda kundirwisa. But for the sake of peace anyway, rekandiona kuti anondita sei andidzorere, but at least ndinenge ndangoratidza zvangu kuti I'm a bigger person. I walk away, ndenda kumba kwangu, hapana kuvara, hapana ita sei. Tine second option here inotiita kuti anyway kana vazongopasa zvavo, at least inini ndozoti tese tinozoita ABCD. Kana kuti chii chatisina chatiri kuda chinoita kuti tikwanise kusimuka. What is it that we don't have, that we are looking for? Zvichatibatsira kuti pasimba, because as we discuss this day in day out, time is moving. Pambatosara 15 days, because the moment yatakapiwa 90 days iyoyoyo yaitova nyaya yekuti tiri kuda kuzotaura kuti aiwa kana pananga paine vanga vari against this bill 90 days vakadii kuchallenge, because 90 days dzaivepo. Saka isusu kana tichitaura tiri kuita kunge tiri kuzvibvunza tega kuti kana kuti hatisiri kuziva kuti chii chatinacho kana kuti chii chatisina chinotitadzisa kuti tiite stand up against this bill. Because ukaenda zvakaita kuno Southern Africa, kunana South Africa, tingataura zvakaita ANC, vanhu ava vanenge vanotova nevanhu vavo vanoenda vachinoita ma-talks round table nezvakaita vana ANC vachitaura navo kuti listen, CAB3 yakadai. I mean, this is their sister party. Vachitaurirana, don't say anything about this, because this is a conversation that took past is Zimbabwe, as South Africa, but also at the same tiri kunzwa tiri kuverenga news kunzi iko mazimbabweans ari kuSouth Africa being attacked zuva nezuva. Havasiri kuva iva, they are not empowered, but the mere effect yokuti they are being attacked nevanoita zino vanoita zvezinophobia vari kuvaataka havasiri kuvapa support yekuti we know what you are going through, we know you need support. But izvozvo manje zvinoita kuti tichifunga kuti ingori here nyaya yevanhu vekusouth Africa, maSouth Africans ane concern yokuti mazimbabweans ari muno ari munyika medu illegally, mazimbabweans ari kukomita crime, inyaya iyo here kana kuti pane vamwe vanhu varipo vanobva kuZANU-PF vanoenda ikoko vodosvika votaura kuti creatai this narrative, creatai this fear, creatai vanhu venyu vanongova ataka chete kuti even if they call for support no one will listen to them. So it's a whole lot of things that we need to think and look at kuti chii exactly chatoda kuti tinge chiita, because time iri kufamba tikatadza kuti tikadzokera back 60 days chii chatakaita pa 60 days kubvira patime yataura nezvebhiro hapana. Now tasara nemadeys mangani, chii chichati chagona kuti tiite, as much as we are asking kuti koiwo Mnangagwa unoda kutora kuwedzera nemakore 2 chii chaungagona kuita nemakore 2 iwewe nguva yese wanga uchiitei? The same question tofanira kuzvibvunza isu tega kuti kana tatadza kuita something pa 60 days ko pa 30 days dzasara tichaitei? Chii chatiri kuplana? Because right now tiri kungotaura and we all agree we are against this bill. Saka chii chatiri kuita chatakamboita chino chatiri kuti ichi ndo chatakabata chatinofanira kunge tichiti takuchienderera mberi and there is no going back? Chii chatiri kuti inini at least kana izvi zvikapasa hazvo zvavo zana Mnangagwa, at least ndine something chandiri kuramba hangu ndichiita ndichifocusa ndiri ndega nemburi yangu. So those are the questions dzandangofungidzira kuti probably timbotaura nezvazvo kana kuti tarise kuti hazvitibatsire here kuti zvitiimpawe, because that's all what we need.
Right. No, I hear you, Ipapo. Thank you very much, for that. I appreciate. You see, when we talk about resisting the narrative, what we are talking about right now is the idea of reframing the narrative. So the question then becomes, when we say we want to reframe that narrative, what is it, that we are talking about? What does it entail to reframe this narrative in the context of this thing, that we're talking about? Whether we put it in another way or in another name, but there isn't any other name that we can, is there any other name that we can coin to use when we're referring to CAB3, when we know it's CAB3? What I am saying is, let us resist CA3 because, we are not there. Because if we don't, make that, reframing it back to CAB3, instead of it allowing it in our spaces to be referred to as a CA3, then we are going to be losing it. So I am saying, when they say it is a done deal, they want us to disengage. But we must reframe it and start to engage, because we are engaging with the CAB3, if that is what we want to do. Because you've got so many young people, legal minds, community voices that can reframe the conversation. That is what is needed for us to be out there, visible, be seen, and reframing the conversation. And we insist on it being a bill. It's not an amendment. We are not yet there. We want to emphasize that no matter how, this thing is flawed, but it's still alive. You're talking about days, right? Today, 70 days, gone, 20 days to go. What then do these 20 days mean for us, mean for public participation? Because that is not optional. That is not optional. You understand? It's something that is a reality in a way that, they want to do in terms of psychologically brainwashing people in a way kuti people will start to think kuti there's no need to, to keep the civic space alive because it's a done deal. There's no reason why we should be talking about restoration of public, confidence, because it is a done deal. But we want to get to a point whereby we keep on reminding each other, dominate the space, remind each other that whatever it is that is going on in Zimbabwe is not a spectator sport. We are not watching footy. We are not watching tennis. We are not watching the pendulum swing up and down, left, right, and center. No, we are not doing that. So reframing this, it makes a huge, difference. Not that it's going to be changing anything. Not that it's going to weave in a magical hand and change, stuff. But we are saying that it changes how we get engaged, with this thing. It changes how we show up. It changes how we speak. It changes how we participate. And it changes everything to do with the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. Because if the moment that we are allowing them to dominate and have narrative that make them dominate, the narrative of inevitability, ladies and gentlemen, is going to remain. And we would have lost everything. And we are going to lose, the battle. We're going to lose, the public agency. So let us restore that. Let us get to a point of that restoration. I don't know whether I'm making sense. Sometimes anyway, let me but those are just my thoughts. Right. So thank you very much for that. The Gaiti Ningirikini. Tiende kuna
Gerald, CAB must die. CAB3 must die. Or you say kill CAB3.
That is a narrative that you are trying, to be creating, which can work. It can work.
It won't work.
Maybe it can work.
Let me show you why. Creating narratives is not easy. It is actually very, very hard to do. Because you have to know where you are. The narrative is like a pathway that stays constant or can be built to take you to an objective. Yeah. Now,
right.
When you are creating, you have to create it in truth of where you are. Yeah. I'll use ZANU-PF as an example because they just did theirs. Yeah. They started off with a constitutional amendment bill number 3. They moved where they are and found that there is pushback. And then they decided to say, let's take this thing and make it a constitutional amendment act, to get where they are, where they want to go to. And then they create now on whatever they're going to interact with, it's going to balance where they're going. Yes?
Right.
Now, they have an advantage because where they are, they can lie. Even if they are discovered, they don't care. Yeah. On our side, we cannot do that because when we're discovered to lie on our side, everything collapses. We are like Christians fighting the devil. The devil can lie. When the devil is discovered to lie, it's the devil anyway. But if you're a Christian and discovered that you've got a little lie, the side of the devil can make that little lie collapse you. So when you are pushing back on narratives, especially when you are resisting, you have to push on the truth. Where are we? Yeah, we are here where we don't have any resources, and that's the truth. Yeah, we don't have any resources, we don't have money, we don't have the people are disjointed. That's true. But there's an advantage where you can turn around and turn it around. Where you can turn it around is where you stand on the truth to say this
Right.
thing is unconstitutional, meaning that in every single process that it is going to go through, even if it gets passed, it will remain unconstitutionally on the ground that you're standing on. Yeah. And that is where you create now your truth. Because the only thing that can fight a narrative is the truth. A narrative is either, it can either be lies with a little bit of truth or truth with a little bit of lies. Yeah. Truth is just truth. You cannot fight propaganda with propaganda.
Right.
In politics, they teach us that you can fight it, but in reality, you can't, because you require now to lie to your people. I'll give you another one that is a lie, and I do not know why we have it. We've got this countdown of 90 days. Yeah, the countdown of 90 days, uncles, is to do with consultation.
Yes.
There is nothing on this side of the fence. We don't have 90 days. This side of the fence, we are going to fight this even if it becomes law.
We have eternity.
Yes, we've got eternity, so we don't have 90 days. 90 days is only that side of the fence where they say you have to consult for 90 days. And the problem is, this narrative was okay, or people took it to be okay when it was 90 days, yeah? 80 days. But now we are left with 20 days. The panic now, when you are saying, what can we do in 20 days? That answer can be only answered by what you have done in 60 days. When you look back, there is nothing to touch on.
Right.
So that turns around and demobilizes your people. Whether they are capable, because they know what they've done in themselves personally, they know what they've done in 60 days. When they are looking at the 20 days that is left, that's only 3 weeks and some days. Yeah. And they are looking at it and say, what can we do? That is drastic. You see, this is when you move people now to drastic measures. But if you open up the playing field to say, no, we've got eternity here, we'll be still fighting until it is removed.
Right, I hear you.
And that's where the hope is.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. I do understand, your point, on that aspect. Like, okay, like what are the, the suggestion to say, why don't we move hashtag good kill CAB, number 3. Yes, yeah, I believe it can create, some, it can counter, this, narrative. But now the society that we are in now, and the people that we are dealing with, if there is no expansion of that narrative with a process-based explanation of what people actually mean when they say kill CAB number 3, it can lead, to something else. Given the people that we are dealing with, we know how, they think, we know how they react, we know how they over-amplify things. So I think it has to be more to do with the restoration instead of us focusing on trying to define this in another way. Because the definition or the reference point in terms of what this is called, it exists, it's there, and it's, I don't think there's any other way. But
CAB3.
yeah. But what we need to do is we need to keep the message constitutional. Like what you're saying, Zetikutizo, this, ladies and gentlemen, is for eternity. So if we are grounding it in that line of thinking, then it means, Kuti, everything that we need to be doing, it has to be constitutional. It has to be, we keep the message constitutional, we keep the message, civic, we keep the message grounded and legitimate. And that right there, it helps in avoiding the risk of sounding purely oppositional and confrontational, because this is how they will start, to, look at it, look at this. So we need to ground that, whatever it is that we must come up with. We must not get into a situation whereby it overshadows the process itself, and then creates another narrative that can then be used now as a way of going after people, like really going after people. And we know Kutizo, they are havana nyadzi.
No, no, Uncle, you're right. I think while you're on that, Uncle, maybe a suggestion to all the people on the space, to say, can you give us a hashtag in the comment section? Whatever hashtag that obviously can get more traction, maybe more likes, more engagement. Something that we can just use. People have got different ideas. People can be creative. So I would urge you to just put in the comment section a hashtag, that we can use, just something that is against CAB3. And just one quick question before you go to the next the speaker, Zeti. There was a time that you did this. I think you still have the upside flag. I remember there was a time when you were hosting the spaces and you were trying to push a narrative and you were asking for people to have this upside flag. I remember at one time your space, it was filled with people like that. What impact did that thing have? Any impact in from what you saw, from what because obviously in the way you were driving the thing, what impact did that have?
Impact in terms of numbers, it did not get that many numbers, but at that time people did not understand. But in terms of conscientization, it did quite a lot, because you still find people. I still come across people that I don't know myself personally, that I've not talked to, that move with upside down flags, or even in protest turn their flags upside down. So in
Right.
terms of ground impact, it actually works much better.
Right. So it's about conscientizing. You see, I think that's exactly what we'll be trying to do. Because the idea is, guys, to do this thing as a group, as a unified unit. Takaita, zvinhu zvacho, with more numbers, whatever we say we decide to do. If it's about conscientizing, because once people start seeing the same thing all over the place, remember what happens when you repeat the same thing over and over. Ndizvo zvamakaita ZANU-PF are good at that. Munoramba muchingoimbirwa hondo yeminda kusvika makutokaimba kambo kacho. So sometimes I think there's a good idea in that madness. So I think if you can, guys, yeah, whoever is listening, people if you are creative, if you've got something that you think we can use as a hashtag line, something that we can just use. Maybe you never know. As the citizens, we may try use a tag line that every time we post zvakafanana na fadza imahere handiti totoziva kuti anoti we need new leaders. Itori tagline yekuti she always ends up here, tweets on that. So if there's something that we can all use against the CAB3, whatever message we drive, then we sign off at the bottom, and we're all using that. So if you're creative, guys, please just drop it in the comment. Then we'll see what we have at the end. Yeah, and
Right. Thank you very much. Can I bring in Ru, and then followed by Chuboy?
Thank you, Uncle. Mascola says something.
Musha, what do you say?
Good. I hope you guys are good. Yeah, I think this is a really important topic, and I think that the direction of travel we're going in is amazing, because I like the fact that, Titus, you've asked people to engage in the chat and share their suggestions, and I think this is where we need to be in terms of, like, the statements that people have been making, that we need to take action. It needs to be in our doing, not in just our saying. So I love seeing this. So I encourage us to keep going in this direction. Not you guys, not Uncle Jade and Titus, but like as in Zimbabweans as we go through this. So I want to make the suggestion that we first take a look at What's our end goal? Are we only aiming at making sure the bill does not pass? Or as Zimbabweans, are we serious that we're tired with this regime? We need to be really clear on what our end goal is. There's a man by the name Stephen Covey. He's got a book, Seven Habits of a Highly Effective Person. And one of those habits is you start with the end in mind. What's the end goal for us as Zimbabweans that we can all unite on and we can all agree? And I'd like to suggest that our message here is ZANU-PF must go. Who is saying this? It's Zimbabweans. Who do we want to communicate this with? Our fellow Zimbabweans, but also we want the message to be international. Anyone who disagrees, you can disagree. But I would assume from all the conversations that we've had, all the submissions that everybody has brought has been that that's what we need to do. But also in this time that we're in is this needs to be as viral as possible. This message, the reason why we want this hashtag is because we want to dominate the algorithms. We want to dominate the conversation. And in us dominating the conversation, it means that our message needs to be clear. I'll give you an example. McDonald's, I'm loving it. Nike, just do it. Mnangagwa, 2030, tine aninga chipo. Short, snappy messages that are clear. And I suggest that we want to have a message that says, Zimbabwe says no. Zimbabwe says no to the bill, to Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. Zimbabwe says no to corruption. Zimbabwe says no to Mnangagwa 2030 Anenga Chiripo. Zimbabwe says no to ZANU-PF. And so if, we can have something that says what it is on the tin, we're flying. Because it means that in every conversation that we have, we can tie it into anything. We can attach it to anything, and there's longevity to that messaging. And so, to Titus's point, I personally suggest Zimbabwe says no, because that puts the country at the forefront. That if it's somebody who's in Mexico, if they hear Zimbabwe says no, they'll know exactly what it's talking about. Similar to Kenya, they had no to the finance bill. And we understood that they were specifically against the finance bill that was going on. And so, yeah, that's just what I wanted to suggest. And then secondly, I wanted to say that especially those people who are often in words saying we need to take action, please make sure that every time, like every day, consistently, let's make sure that every time we're coming onto this platform, are we resharing each other? And I'm speaking to myself as well. Are we resharing, content that we understand are from individuals that are posting things that are against this bill? Let's make sure that we are the ones dominating the algorithm. Push, 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 push. Even if you set a goal for yourself to say, today I aim to retweet 10 people, that's more than enough. Maybe on WhatsApp as well, you say, today I aim to share in 5 different WhatsApp groups. You don't have to go overboard, but what's the thing that you can do? Dedicate 10 minutes, dedicate 15 minutes. Because sometimes I think we try to do too much too quickly, and I'm very guilty of that. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But if we can have bite-sized goals, we'll find that actually it's going to take us further than we think it is. And so let's actually have those targets. And maybe if we are gathering on Uncle Jed's space, if we're gathering on Scotty's space, let's keep each other accountable. How many people did you retweet today? How many, let's actually be giving feedback, because sometimes us feeding back to say, this is what I've been able to do, or this is what I've done, or, it can actually help for us to be, holding each other accountable. but also when we are having conversations and etc., let's try and commit to one action that we take away. So hopefully at the end of this space, Uncle Jed, I would encourage you to encourage others to say the action that we're all taking away today, this is the action. Then isusu tese tinenge takatarisa kuti alright, action yedu yatakaudzwa pepe. And if you see someone who's not there, make sure you tell them, kwa Uncle Jed takati tikuita zvakati. Then we can all at least be planting these seeds. So that's just my submission today. I'm
Right.
really keen on us being more practical, and I hope that we can continue to do that.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. Before Tubo, you come in. There's a message, I think it's more in the same line with you, Rovimbo. And this one, Mkoma, pa platform panapa, people are always talking about action, taking action, and let's take action. But what have they done? But have they done the bare minimum, like writing to parliament? Are they retweeting and sharing posts that are written against CAB3 by those opposed to it? Because when I look at how Varakashi are in retweeting and sharing pro CAB3, even though they are post a few people, it makes me feel like those who are opposed are not doing enough. So it goes to that same point that you are raising. Kuti, whenever we see something, chatinoita resonate nacho, we get into the habit yekuita repost. I think it's quite important. Like what I say, let us grab the narrative. Comes down in network in Boinda.
ndo vanhu vakafana Mnangagwa. So whatever you do, you can. Inga takambomhanya nemwe narrative one mkwasha munokanganwa. Takambopona ngapinda ake mkomana yakamhanya. But Mnangagwa hazvina kumumisa kuita zvaida kuita zvakazvita chete. But isusu maZimbabweans, I think tangove kakawandisa guys. Kune area Mnangagwa yaari kuprotecta imi mukuiziva ende munhu wacho munhu wese akuziva area yekuprotectwa naMnangagwa iyoyo. Kumadi kuti vanhu dai vatambira ikoko. There's only one way out, son. They have to go on the street. They have to go on the street. Kunyora kuparliament. Ndakatombonetsa naZeti one day pana muchita aZeti, there's no point yekuno participate muzvimaheadings zvavo. Zoti kadayo ngatiene tinovarangidza numbers. Mnangagwa, he doesn't care about those numbers. Because akuziva kuti akuda kuita zvinhu zviri illegal. Anotozviita chete. So the only way maZimbabweans are ground, especially to those guys vachiri pa age yekuti they are still fighting for something in life, they have to go on the ground. Ingana Mnangagwa vakaenda one, ana Mugabe vakaenda kuma-20 kuma-30s vakanopinda one. Saka chatadzoma maZimbabwean, my young brothers, young sisters. But we cannot talk of us, Sanota kuma-50, 60. You can't talk of us. But vafana ngavapinde paground vatambire area isuda kutambwa naMnangagwa iyoyo ndokwafa kutambira ikoko. Kana kukunzi achasunga vanhu 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, let it be. Noti kana kuratidza kuti tinoramba respect, angatinyore zvinhu mushe guys, tisaridze maybe hapana confrontational, hazvishande. Noti munhu wake totouziva tese guys. And Mnangagwa is a master in ignoring things and anoignore kuti akasambozvinzwa. Makaona paituka naGrace pai. Ati akasambozvinzwa. But shoko rinenge rasvika. Munhu akadaro is dangerous. People, they must go on the ground. But tikatadza kuita izvozvo, unenge a one man for himself. Nokuti hapana inopfuurira irere. vakapana kumusha vakadhakazvawo nemutoriro wodhakazvawo nemarasta chinhu chisingakangwa netime sano time inopanicha vanozozviona kana vakuma 50 kuti ingadasvika 51 uri murume but usiri murume uri mukadzi but usiri mukadzi nokuti hapana zvaunenge wakaita in life unenge wakatambisa nguva. People, they must go and fight for this thing. Iye Mnangagwa ndozvaari kutoda sana ende Mnangagwa ari kutochida chinhu ichi. Mai mukatadza unochibvuta imimika pakaipa. Ine Chivenga haana kana hatomboziva kuti he doesn't know what he's saying. Ine zvaakuteerera kuchechi. Nokuti atopererwa akutidza zvechechi akunoparidzawo zvana Isakewa ndino zvaakutaura zvavanhu vakafa kudhara. Atopererwa asina way out. But her age, Zimbabweans, vachiri kunzwa foot on the ground. Ndo mapindiro akaita saka ndo maburiro afa kuita ka. Noti kana akapinda zviri illegal, mubuditsewo zviri illegal. But that respect yekuti ava vanhu amadhara edu amakuru, vava vanhu vaka remove that respect mombotirane munhu to munhu, nyama to nyama. Mamukatoita respect kuti ndofunga akazozvarwa 1970 nasati azvarwawo let me respect him. Muna makadzvanyirirwa. And I'm talking kuna panhu vari kumusha vari paground. Kuna panhu vanongotengesa majiska driver vachimhanya mota dzawikino vasina zvavari kuita. Those below 35, 40 and below, they must go on the ground. I don't know. That's what I can say, but
Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate.
Kwasara 4 games chete msakangano.
Mova maningi mabhadhara chikwereti chenyu after 4 days. Mazvaja asvika. Right. Mkoma Milton Bingwa. Do you want to come through, please?
Uncle Jed, thank you very much for inviting me as a speaker. Yeah, Uncle. You know, like I was just taking in what a lot of the speakers were saying, and I think the time and time again we keep having these conversations where us as Zimbabweans we are now fed up. We have been fed up for a very long time. Our brothers and sisters are suffering day in, day out, and it's getting worse. And the situation on the ground is sad. But the problem is, for most of us who have the bravery to even come on these spaces and take part, most of us remain as keyboard warriors. Why I'm saying that is because when certain events are organized, like demonstrations, for example, there was the demo which was held in London, on Sway Independence. There was barely 60 of us there, but the petition was signed by hundreds and hundreds of people. So we cannot